It looked like just another poker night in Vegas. But every chip on that table was a player's soul. And the FBI was already listening. They weren't talking about plays. They were talking about odds. In that locker room, the game had already been sold. "He'll miss the shots like we planned," the voice said through the static. In that moment, the FBI knew. This wasn't just gambling, it was control. They didn't need to shout. One envelope said it all. "The game stays ours." When the gavel fell, they thought it was over. But even in prison, the game kept playing. Just with higher stakes. She found the truth buried in numbers. And one name she thought she could trust. The call came from inside the bureau. They thought they could control the odds. But in the end, the house always wins. Please like, share and subscribe. It was 2:14 a.m. inside a Manhattan penthouse. The kind of place where money has a different meaning, marble floors, glass walls, and guards who don't ask questions. Around a polished poker table, 7 men sit quietly. 2 of them are former NBA players. One, a current assistant coach. Another, a man with old ties to the Gambino crime family, the kind of man who smiles with his mouth but not his eyes. At first glance, it looks like a friendly game. But tonight, the stakes aren't about luck. They're about control. Hidden inside the table's frame is a tiny camera, invisible to everyone except those who put it there. It reads the cards. It sends the data to a small room 3 floors below, where another man, in a black hoodie, watches a monitor glowing in the dark. Every card. Every hand. Every move. Upstairs, laughter echoes. "You sure you want to call that?" one of the players says. He's bluffing. He knows the other man's cards before the chips even move. The dealer deals again. Tension thickens. $50,000 in chips sits at the center, and in that pile is a story that will soon shake the entire National Basketball Association. Because one of those players, a familiar NBA face, has no idea the FBI is recording everything. And by the time the sun rises, the headlines will read: NBA coaches and player charged in sports betting and mafia-backed poker scandal. It started months earlier. While the NBA season lit up screens across America, something darker was happening beneath the glitter of fame. Sports betting, once taboo, had become mainstream. Apps, ads, sponsorships, even halftime shows promoted betting lines. Fans placed wagers in real time, betting not just on who would win, but on how many rebounds, points, or assists each player would make. It was a new world, and opportunity attracts danger. Enter Terry Rozier, shooting guard for the Miami Heat. A man known for his speed and confidence, both on the court and off it. But according to investigators, Rozier began feeding small, secret details to a group of trusted associates, information no one else knew. A sore ankle that wasn't public yet. A plan to play limited minutes. A late substitution change from the coach's office before tip-off. For normal fans, these are just tiny facts. But for professional gamblers, they're gold. Prosecutors later said Rozier's insiders used those tips to place prop bets worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. When Rozier sat out early, they won. When his points fell short, they won. Every move became a calculated profit. The NBA's monitoring system didn't catch it at first. How could it? Players resting early happens all the time. But the pattern grew. A string of bets placed minutes before game time, all favoring one player's underperformance. All from accounts linked to the same network. The whispers began. Someone's leaking info. Someone knows too much. And behind closed doors, league officials quietly contacted federal investigators. At the same time, hundreds of miles away, In a hidden room filled with cigar smoke and poker chips, another NBA name was making headlines for a very different reason. Chauncey Billups, former NBA champion, current head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. A man once called Mr. Big Shot, now about to face his biggest shot of all. The FBI had been tracing illegal gambling networks for months. What they found was stunning. A high-stakes poker circuit running in cities like Miami, Vegas, and New York, rigged, mob-backed, and shockingly, attended by celebrities and athletes. The poker games weren't about fun. They were traps. The hosts, connected to organized crime families, used rigged tables and insider dealers to ensure one thing. The house always won. The victims? Wealthy businessmen, agents, and even players themselves, drawn in by glamour, leaving in debt. When some refused to pay, intimidation followed. Threats, broken windows, silent visits. And one of the most recognizable faces at those games? Billups. Not as a victim, but, according to prosecutors, as a recruiter. He allegedly invited players, celebrities, and investors to exclusive private games. Behind the scenes, a silent agreement. The mob controlled the cards. The celebrities controlled the image. The profits were laundered through shell companies and crypto wallets. But what Billups didn't know was that the FBI had already planted surveillance in one of the poker dens. Every shuffle, every message, every coded transaction. As agents followed the money trail, one strange pattern emerged. The same offshore accounts that funded the poker games were also placing NBA bets through shadow networks. The two worlds were connected. And soon, the investigators realized this wasn't just a gambling case. It was a collision between professional sports and organized crime. By the end of summer 2025, the FBI was ready. Wiretaps were active. Informants flipped. And the list of names on the investigation board included some of the biggest in basketball. But the operation had to be perfect. One wrong move and the entire case could vanish in the smoke of power and money. And as agents watched the next private game unfold through hidden cameras, one thing became clear. Someone inside the NBA was about to go down. The FBI called it Operation Full Court Press. It began with sports betting data, but by late 2025, it had spread into something much larger. The first clue came from a single suspicious phone call. An anonymous bettor in Las Vegas called to place a massive $200,000 prop bet on Rozier scoring under 10 points in a game he normally averaged 18. The timing? Just 45 minutes before tip-off. The sportsbook flagged it. Not because of the amount, but because of the timing and confidence. Within hours, Rozier limped off the court after 9 minutes of play, citing ankle tightness. He finished with 7 points. The bettor collected $480,000. To the average fan, it was just another off night. To the feds, it was a pattern now too clear to ignore. They cross-checked betting accounts, call logs, and crypto wallets. The same wallet used for poker payments was funding sports bets through a Caribbean exchange. The same phone number texting poker results was texting player injury updates minutes before public announcements. Every thread led back to OneWeb, and in the center were names from the NBA's inner circle. Investigators tracked group chats labeled BB Room, short for Big Ballers Room, where coded language disguised betting tips. Messages like, "Player 13 might clock out early, ankle. Coach B confirmed switch, go under 12. Same house rules tonight." Each message corresponded to real-world betting spikes and poker game setups. But there was one final connection the FBI needed. Proof that money flowed between the mob's poker ring and the NBA insider's betting operation. they set up surveillance during a private poker event in Miami. It was attended by both Billups and Damon Jones, another former NBA player and assistant coach. When agents later reviewed the recordings, they caught a single moment that changed everything. Jones accepting a duffel bag from a known Genovese associate, the same man whose crypto wallet funded offshore betting accounts tied to Rogier's network. That was it. The link was made. Weeks later, a grand jury approved sealed indictments. But the FBI wanted to catch everyone red-handed, literally. They chose one final sting operation. And that's when they returned to the Manhattan penthouse, cameras hidden, mics planted, watching a group of men bet millions of dollars over rigged cards. What they didn't expect was how that night would spiral out of control. October 21st, 2025. It was supposed to be just another private poker night, another rigged game, another easy haul. But tonight, the room was wired. FBI agents had been setting up for weeks. Tiny microphones were hidden inside poker chip trays, in the legs of chairs, even in the chandelier above the table. The air was thick, money, perfume, and danger. At 9:42 p.m., a black SUV pulled up outside the Manhattan penthouse. Inside, Chauncey Billups stepped out, wearing a dark coat and that signature calm confidence. Behind him, Damon Jones, joking, loud, and unaware that the clock on their freedom was ticking down. By 10:15, the cards were on the table. Cameras rolled silently. In the control van outside, the FBI agents watched on a dozen monitors. Each camera streamed live, every blink, every move, every coded word. "Double the blinds," Billups said casually, tossing a stack of chips. "House rules," Jones replied with a grin. But the house rules had just changed. This time, the house belonged to the FBI. Halfway through the game, a man walked in carrying a black duffel bag, the same courier who'd appeared in earlier surveillance footage, linking the mob's money to the NBA insiders. He placed the bag beside the dealer. A nod. No words. Inside, cash, crypto wallets, ledgers. Everything the feds needed, sitting right there on camera. Then, the unexpected happened. At 11:07 p.m., one of the players, a businessman named Carlo DeLuca, got a call. He stepped away, whispered into his phone, and went pale. The FBI later confirmed that call came from a member of the Genovese crime family, warning that someone in the room might be talking too much. Panic rippled through the table. The laughter stopped. One of the guards reached inside his jacket. From the van outside, the FBI's lead agent didn't hesitate. He pressed the button. Within seconds, the door burst open. "FBI! Hands where we can see them." Poker chips scattered like shrapnel. Chairs fell. Someone yelled. Billups froze, mid-hand, eyes wide, hands still on the cards. The camera caught it, that single frame that would later circle the world, the NBA coach caught in a federal raid. And just like that, the secret game was over. But the real storm was just beginning. By dawn, it was everywhere. Headlines across America screamed. NBA coaches and player charged in sports betting and mafia poker schemes. CNN, ESPN, Reuters, The Guardian. Every outlet had the same stunned tone. How did one of the world's most polished sports leagues become the center of an organized crime case? In Miami, cameras swarmed outside Terry Rozier's home. He didn't answer the door. He didn't need to, the indictment spoke for him. In Portland, Billups's wife was seen leaving their home, visibly shaken. The Blazers released a single-line statement. Coach Billups has been suspended pending further investigation. The NBA itself held an emergency press conference. Commissioner Adam Silver appeared grim, the weight of scandal pressing on every word. "We are cooperating fully with federal authorities," he said. "If these allegations are true, it represents a profound betrayal of the values that define this league." The FBI unsealed the charges that morning. Wire fraud, illegal gambling, money laundering, racketeering, and conspiracy to defraud a sports organization. In total, 34 individuals were charged, including 2 active NBA staff, 3 retired players, and known members of the Gambino, Genovese, and Bonanno crime families. What shocked everyone wasn't just the names, it was the evidence. Text messages, crypto transactions, hidden camera footage from the poker games, and the ledger seized from that duffel bag, which listed payments labeled PIX and inside. The total amount traced through the operation, over $25 million. The FBI's assistant director called it one of the most sophisticated sports manipulation schemes ever uncovered. Sports talk shows lit up. Social media exploded. Clips of Billups's arrest went viral within hours. And fans began asking the question no league ever wants to hear. Were the games real? That question, hanging in the air, was more dangerous than any single crime. Because if the public stopped believing in the fairness of the game, the entire billion-dollar machine of the NBA could crumble. And yet, even as the headlines roared, the investigation was far from over. Because someone else, someone even higher up, had just entered the picture. While Billups, Rozier, and Jones faced questioning, investigators kept digging. They knew these men weren't the masterminds. They were players, valuable, but replaceable. So the FBI looked deeper. They analyzed encrypted messages from seized phones. One codename appeared repeatedly, the broker. No one seemed to know who the broker was. But the messages suggested he controlled both the poker ring and the betting network. He set odds. He moved money. He issued orders. A digital ghost. Agents traced the crypto wallets again, layer after layer of shell companies across Malta, Panama, and Singapore. Finally, one account led to a surprising name, a sports data analytics firm based in Nevada, quietly registered under a consulting company used by a former NBA executive. The name was Elliot Raines. A man once praised for bringing real-time betting analytics to the NBA's digital platform. He'd left the league 2 years earlier, citing creative differences. Now, it appeared Raines had taken his insider knowledge straight to the underworld. He had everything: access to player tracking data, team strategies, injury updates, and communication links with several betting platforms. When agents raided his Las Vegas office, they found multiple encrypted servers, hard drives, and an internal messaging system labeled BBNet, Big Ballers Network. That same name had appeared in the text messages between Rozier and the poker group. When questioned, Raines said almost nothing. His only words were, "You think this ends with me? You're just scratching the surface." Then he invoked his right to remain silent. But his words haunted the investigators. If Raines was telling the truth, the corruption didn't just involve a few players. It could reach deeper, into management, agents, maybe even ownership. Meanwhile, news broke that several games from the 2024 to 2025 season were now under review for irregular betting activity. The NBA's integrity unit scrambled to rewatch thousands of hours of footage, searching for anything suspicious: a missed free throw, a strange substitution, a last-minute foul. Every mistake suddenly looked deliberate. Every slump, a conspiracy. And in the midst of that chaos, something else happened. A key witness, the courier seen delivering the black duffel bag, was found dead in a New Jersey motel. No signs of struggle. No witnesses. Just a needle mark on his arm, and an overdose that felt a little too convenient. The FBI didn't say it aloud, but everyone knew the Mafia had just sent a message. The message was clear. Some games are worth more than money. And some secrets are worth killing for. 2 weeks later, the first hearings began in a packed New York courtroom. Outside, fans held signs that read "Clean the game and no more lies." Reporters flooded the halls. Every camera pointed toward the defendant's bench, where Billups, Rozier, and Jones sat, pale, tense, and quiet. Prosecutors presented their case. A timeline of leaks, messages, and money trails connecting NBA insiders to organized crime. They played snippets of the hidden poker footage. They showed betting records that spiked moments after private team updates. It was airtight, too airtight. Defense attorneys argued entrapment, claiming the FBI used informants to lure the men into games they believed were legitimate. They questioned the legality of surveillance in private clubs. They attacked witness credibility, especially after the Courier's mysterious death. Meanwhile, the public began to fracture. Some believed the players were victims, manipulated by mobsters and data executives. Others believed they were willing partners, blinded by greed. And through it all, the NBA tried to restore calm. They launched a new task force, banned certain betting partnerships, and imposed mandatory gambling education for all staff. But one truth lingered. They hadn't seen the full list of names under federal seal. The FBI was still withholding at least 8 individuals connected to the BBNet network, people of significant influence. Whispers grew that one might be a team owner. Another, a major sports agent. And just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, an encrypted file leaked online. It contained part of the FBI's internal case summary, and one shocking note. Evidence suggests ongoing contact between active NBA officials and members of organized crime. Full disclosure pending security clearance. The file spread like wildfire. Within hours, hashtags flooded social media, hashtag fixed game, hashtag NBA scandal, hashtag who is the broker. The league's reputation was hanging by a thread. And the truth, whatever it was, had yet to fully surface. Because if the FBI's theory was right, the case wasn't about to end. It was about to expand. By late summer 2025, the FBI task force had everything they needed: names, accounts, calls, and recordings. But something didn't add up. Key evidence kept disappearing. Witness statements were being altered. And one night, a storage facility holding dozens of seized betting ledgers mysteriously went up in flames. Someone inside the investigation was leaking. Federal agent Miriam Klein, who had been leading the probe since the early days, noticed the first anomaly when a sealed report she'd written appeared, word for word, on an online betting forum 2 days later. The leak was surgical, deliberate, and close. She turned to the only person she trusted, her deputy, Agent Torres. "Klein, this is inside. No one else has access." "Torres, then it's not just us investigating, someone's investigating us." What neither of them knew was that the Mafia had already bought a man on the inside. A low-level data analyst working for the Bureau, Eric Dawson, was feeding them updates, small at first, then crucial. In exchange, he received untraceable cryptocurrency payments disguised as consulting fees. Every time the FBI closed in, the Mafia moved a step ahead. Every raid became an empty room. Every suspect vanished before they could be questioned. Then one morning, Dawson didn't show up to work. His apartment was clean, his laptop gone, and on his kitchen counter was a single poker chip, painted black. In Mafia symbolism, a black chip meant debt repaid. Someone had cleaned up their own leak. But Klein realized that meant something worse. The Mafia wasn't running from the FBI anymore. They were watching them. When organized crime feels threatened, it doesn't fight in courtrooms, it fights in the streets. Within days of Dawson's disappearance, witnesses began to back out of testifying. One anonymous informant, a Las Vegas casino accountant who'd agreed to reveal the laundering network, was found dead in his car just hours before a scheduled deposition. Official report, suicide. But the coroner quietly told Klein something else. 2 entry wounds. No gunpowder on his hands. Another potential witness, a retired referee rumored to have taken bribes, vanished completely. His wife received a letter postmarked from Atlantic City with only 4 words written inside. He folded. You should too. The FBI tightened protection around active players suspected of involvement, but one of them, an all-star forward known for his generosity, snapped under the pressure. In a leaked text message to his agent, he wrote, "They told me to miss shots. I said no. Now they're saying they know where my family lives." He checked into a hotel under a fake name that night. He never checked out. The league tried to suppress the news, calling it a private mental health matter. But journalists began digging. Podcasts, forums, and underground sports blogs exploded with conspiracy theories. NBA star linked to Mafia. FBI probing gambling ring. The fix is in. As the headlines spread, the Mafia sent one last message. An envelope delivered to the league's New York headquarters. Inside, a piece of torn jersey fabric, stained red. And a note. The game stays ours. The NBA could no longer hide it. The story was going public. And when the lights hit the cameras, the truth would burn everything in sight. By October 2025, the scandal had erupted across every major network. The NBA Mafia betting case, as reporters called it, became the biggest sports crime trial since the Black Sox scandal of 1919. The courtroom in Manhattan was a circus, lawyers, cameras, and a gallery full of reporters. Marco Lazzari, the poker kingpin, sat calmly beside his defense attorney, smirking. Vince the Dealer Romano looked like a man who'd already made peace with prison. And Coach D, once the pride of his team, stared blankly at the floor, eyes hollow. For the first time, the world saw the web in full color. NBA players, coaches, bookies, casino managers, and a shadow network of offshore accounts. Millions of dollars moved after every game. Games where shots were missed on purpose. Fouls were drawn by design. The prosecution's key evidence came from one man, Agent Ray, the undercover operative who had nearly been killed months earlier. He walked into court in a dark suit, holding the microphone like a burden. The entire room fell silent. Prosecutor, Agent Ray, tell the court what you heard in that penthouse suite. Ray, everything. They called the plays before the games even started. The players didn't know who they were really betting for. Then the defense struck back. Romano's lawyer argued that the recordings were entrapment, that the FBI had pressured Ray into manipulating conversations. And Coach D's attorney blamed the players themselves, calling them grown men responsible for their own choices. For weeks, the trial twisted between guilt and denial. The public couldn't look away. In the end, the verdict came down hard. Lazzari, 25 years for racketeering and fraud. Romano, 18 years. Coach D, 12 years for conspiracy and obstruction. But as the judge spoke, Lazzari leaned over to his lawyer and whispered something no one could hear, except the microphones. The league's still betting. Just not on paper. The world believed justice had been served. But deep within the NBA boardrooms, money was already shifting again. The scandal wasn't over. It was evolving. Months later, the cameras moved on. The public found new scandals, new headlines, new outrage. But for Agent Klein, the case never truly ended. She sat alone one evening in her Washington office, reviewing financial disclosures the NBA had quietly filed after the trial. One entry caught her eye. A new corporate partnership with a digital betting platform based in the Cayman Islands. And the registered owner of that platform? A trust fund linked to a shell company once managed by Eric Dawson, the missing analyst. She stared at the document for a long moment. Then she whispered to herself. They buried the body, but not the disease. In the months that followed, new rumors surfaced, referees under review, unexplained line movements before games, and betting companies suddenly pulling out of NBA partnerships. The league's image was cleaner. But beneath the surface, the same machinery hummed. In the end, the scandal didn't destroy basketball. It revealed what had always been there. The illusion of fair play, the price of fame, and how greed turns even games into battlegrounds. Narrator, voice softens. In sports, as in life, everyone thinks they can control the odds. But the truth is, the house always wins. This was the NBA sports betting and mafia poker scandal of 2025. Where the stakes were never just about the game, but about the soul of competition itself. They say every empire falls, not from the enemies outside, but from the greed within. The NBA's scandal was never just about money or games. It was about temptation, the quiet whisper that says, no one will ever know. But someone always does. The fans who believed. The players who dreamed. The men and women who thought they were untouchable. And when the lights fade, the truth still echoes, in empty locker rooms, in silent arenas, and in the memories of those who played both sides of the line. Because in the end, it wasn't the mafia that destroyed the game. It was the bet that cost them their souls. This was the NBA sports betting and mafia poker scandal of 2025. A story of power, deception, and the price of control. If you think the game is clean now, think again. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.